Series, A Seat at the Table, a podcast where we talk about leadership and impact by pulling up a chair and leaning into intentional conversation. Each episode highlights the impact of our alumni and friends who have helped shape and expand the table for women across Indiana. I am Anne Hathaway, Executive Director of the Lugar Series, and today I'm honored to be joined by Tara Wolf. Tara is a 2017 graduate of the Lugar Series, and since her graduation, she has become involved locally with her community and political circles. In addition to her community service, Tara serves as a project manager for the Midwest Communications Group. Tara, thanks for taking a seat with us today.
Thank you.
So I've talked about all the things that you're involved in with regard to community, political, or I've at least hinted that you have a lot of things to talk about. Mm-hmm. But I also remember many years ago when you started, and I think if I recall, your career maybe began with Mitch Daniels?
It did. I was working, I had a couple jobs right after college, and one of them, I was working at the mall in the evenings to make ends meet, and I met someone there who was working in the governor's office, and I knew that they were trying to get me on board somehow, but there just wasn't really any space. And I remember the day that he came in and said that there might be a spot, and so I got out my very first iPhone and tried to figure out how to send my resume into the governor's office, and they hired me as the staff assistant in 2011.
How long were you there?
I was there for a year. It was the end of the term, so everybody knew that their job had an expiration date. So I took that time to really think about what I wanted to do next, and everything kept coming back to going back to Purdue, which coincidentally, Governor Daniels went to Purdue at the same time. So we ended up together again back in West Lafayette.
So when you think back to that year in the governor's office, what did you learn? What were your takeaways about that experience? I mean, obviously it was intimidating. Going to the governor's office every day was a big deal. A lot of people whose names we heard in the media. And obviously Mitch, is a star himself. So what was it like to be there every day?
Honestly, it was a dream. It was extremely intimidating. You would welcome, I sat at the front desk and made the coffee, but then all day long I was welcoming, community leaders and state leaders and, past presidents would call the line and I would answer and have to act normal and put together. But I got to meet a ton of incredible people. My boss, the woman who hired me, which is Betsy, and I think they really believed in me, so they let me tag along to some other events and help out in other ways that maybe I wasn't really hired to do. So I really appreciate that. They let me, I was kind of the kid that got to tag along sometimes, but it taught me, oh my gosh, it gave me a lot of confidence. But it was extremely intimidating, but so much fun. Every day was something different.
Which makes it
incredible.
Yeah, and I totally can relate because that's kind
every day's different.
how my career started. And people say, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I'd be like, "Anything. I just want an opportunity."
Yes,
and
give me a chance.
And the irony of the fact that Betsy hired you, Betsy Wiley, who is a Lugar Series alum, a former president of our board, and just a huge leader in her own right with regard to all the things that she's accomplished. What a great person to learn from.
Absolutely. I'm honored that I even got the chance, and I've tried to make the most of it.
Relationships, which we talk about in Lugar Series all the time.
Absolutely.
So what did you do at Purdue? What was your role at Purdue?
Oh gosh. So I started in the admissions office as an admissions counselor. And then once President Daniels and Mrs. Daniels came to campus, I started working on projects for them, different savings initiatives that would come across his desk. I kind of got to go around and learn more and bring that information back and talk about how we could try to save money around campus. And one of the highlights was I was on the team that brought Amazon to campus.
Oh, wow.
So, yes, with the Purdue team, I got to go out to Seattle and look at the storefront that they had created for us and helped oversee the construction when they were building on campus and just kept all of that rolling. So again, kind of, you don't know what each day is going to bring, so you have to be ready. And worked on a lot of savings initiatives, and just anything that came across that needed some elbow grease.
So whatever needed done, Tara was there.
Yes.
Which really probably set you up for where you are now in your life and your career.
Well, I think that it's important to me that every opportunity that has come my way is because somebody called and said, hey, so-and-so said you could do this. Come work with me. So even, current job, that's how it happened.
So when was the last time you did a resume?
Well, I keep it up to date.
Okay.
But it's, I haven't had to, display it or share it.
Oftentimes, that's what with competent peoples. You keep you keep it up to date, so you have it for different things. But it's just you kind of look at it sometimes. You go, "Did I do all that? Have I really done all this?"
Sometimes it's hard to remember.
Yep, I totally understand. So somewhere along the way, you left Purdue, you've gotten married, you've become a mom, and you've relocated from West Lafayette back to the Indianapolis area.
Yes.
Walk me through those chapters. How did we get to here?
So the year that I was in the Lugar Series,
right?
I'm sure you remember. There was a little bit of crying. I was going through a lot of good things, but a lot.
It was growth.
It was a lot of growth.
And I think that's why you were in the program.
Yeah.
No, but I think that's why you were in the program that time.
Yeah.
You'd been in the workforce for about 5-6 years, and I think you'd met a guy, and there were all these transitions that you were on the cusp of. And I think that the Lugar Series was part of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So during the year that I was in class, I met my husband, moved from West Lafayette back to the area, which we settled in Beech Grove, which is where my husband owns a business. And all of that happened. I met him and got married the whole time that year of the class. So sometimes I came to class a little frazzled, but we settled in Beech Grove, and we've been there for a little over 9 years now.
Wow, man, those 9 years have flown by. So you've been the new kid in Indianapolis because you're originally from Greene County, I think?
I am. I grew up in Greene County.
Okay, so then you came to Indianapolis, you went to West Lafayette, then now you're in Beech Grove. You've been there for 9 years. And I think one of the lessons that you've probably tackled better than anybody is how did you integrate into the community? How did you get to a place, and I'm going to talk a few minutes and about your titles and all these things that you now are in charge of. That being said, yet 9 years ago, nobody knew who you were.
Yeah.
How did you settle into the community?
Well, and I think the people that did know me, I was still the 23-year-old who, made the coffee, which is fine. I did that. And it was amazing. But I'd always been involved no matter where I lived. I mean, growing up, I was involved in my community. And then as a Purdue student and as a resident, I was very involved. So I knew that would happen here. I just wasn't sure how because I didn't know anybody. So I reached out to the local GOP club, and I just said, hi, I just moved here. You have no idea who I am. Please answer my email. And a couple of them were very gracious and took me to Bob Evans for coffee. And I've been involved ever since with the GOP club.
So you just started volunteering?
Yes.
Door knocking, phone calls, showing up for parades.
Yes, I pushed a stroller in the parade several years. I think we're done with the stroller, but anything, whatever was needed.
So how did you decide to run for office? Is that always been part of your plan? Obviously, it's something we talk about in the Lugar Series, but there are different seats, whether it's running for office, behind the scenes, boards of commissions. How is it that you decided to put yourself out there?
For the school board specifically, there was a vacancy. One of the members was moving, and a friend knew that this was going to be happening and thought that I would be a good fit. And I said that I would consider it. I would look at the application, and then I was like, okay, well, I'll fill out the application. Then I'm like, okay, I'll go to the interview. And it is one of the most rewarding experiences. I was selected and then finished the term for that member, and then ran for re-election in November of 2024.
So when you say selected, was that
Yes.
a caucus?
It was, so the board members interview, and
So
they
the school
select.
board members
Yes.
interviewed you, and they decided who they
Yes.
wanted to. That's okay. So tell us, we all know that there are school boards out there making decisions for our school districts, but really, what's the responsibilities as a school board member?
Well, there are a lot, but you can boil it down to making policies and hiring and evaluating the superintendent and budgeting, which there are a lot of pieces to each of those, but those are our main responsibilities.
Do people call you at home? Do parents call you? Are they happy, mad? Do they stop you in the grocery store?
I've gotten a few text messages. My friend is having this problem, and I will happily direct them to the correct order that they need to go in. And I say, but if that doesn't work, please call me back, and I will elevate this for you. And they always call back and say thank you.
That's cool.
They always do. So once maybe they don't know the steps, or maybe they forgot because they're, upset, or the kid's going through something, but they always call back and say thank you. But there have been a couple mad parents.
Do people treat you differently? Like, when you're walking into a basketball game at the high school or something, do people look at you different? Do you sense?
I do. I don't know if I'm doing that to myself, because I feel like I'm under the microscope a little bit.
Right.
But everybody's always very nice.
Really?
Yeah, everybody always says hi. We went to a basketball game a few weeks ago. We were going to watch our babysitter cheer, so the boys wanted to see that, which is always fun. But yes, and we're in a very small community, so you are kind of.
So how many years have you been on the school board?
Since 2022.
Okay, so what? Basically 4 years.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, that's gone fast, because I remember when you decided to dip your toe into the water.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you run for re-election?
Yes.
Were you opposed?
I was. There were, I believe there were 5 people for 3 seats. Mm-hmm. I believe that's correct. It's close. And I had the second most votes. So given what my day job is, I knew what I needed to do. Well,
tell folks about tell folks about your day job and how you put together your campaign for re-election.
Yes. So during the day, I'm a project manager for a political consulting group and direct mail group. Mm-hmm. So I do a lot of this stuff every day, but my face is not on it.
Fair.
It's very different when it's your picture and your name and, your family's faces. But I do this all day for other people, and it's easy. It's a lot easier when it's somebody else.
It is.
But I knew that I needed a poem card and a mailer and yard signs and all that good stuff, which no one else had ever done in Beech Grove.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So you broke the seal.
I did. I broke the seal. I don't think people were very happy because, they kind of had to up their game. But
so did you raise money?
I did. I raised enough. I knew how much money I needed.
Right.
So everyone was extremely, extremely generous. The first donation was from the past mayor of Beech Grove. He wanted to be the first, which was very sweet. And people really stepped up.
So did you raise money by doing events, a mailer, just calling people and asking? What was the way you got it done?
I called my besties, and they all came through.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So did you go door to door?
I did not. We decided to do the mailer and target it, to the voters in the area. I had people on election day from 6 to 6 at all the polling locations in Beech Grove. And it was the most awful weather that day.
Oh, no.
It was so bad. I didn't even want to be there. But I had so many friends from the community and people that didn't even live in Beech Grove who were standing there all day for me and making contact with voters and like, oh, yeah, we saw her piece of mail. And people have said that to me. Oh, I think you sent me mail. I'm like, yes, I did. So
are your children old enough to know that you're on the school board? Do they have any awareness?
They do. They love the mayor, and they think that I'm going to be the mayor, so I hope I don't disappoint them too badly. But they know, and sometimes they want to go to meetings, especially the Parks Board. We used to meet in the park during the summer. It was so fun. So they always wanted to go to those meetings. So they know. I don't think they understand
quite yet
exactly what's going on, but they know that I have a lot of meetings.
So other than a lot of meetings and being away from home, when you think about being on the school board, what's your biggest surprise, or what's the thing that you'll walk away from at the time when you decide to leave the school board that you'll say, I wish I would have known, or I'm glad I did it because... when you think about the school board, what are your takeaways?
Well, especially in Beech Grove, I mean, we're a very small community, about 14,000 people, and the school is part of the identity of the whole community. And that's something I knew going into it, but I just didn't realize to what extent. And I mean, we're one and the same. Everybody's a Hornet, forever a Hornet. Always a Hornet.
But you weren't a Hornet.
I was not. I was a minor.
Oh.
Yes, I was a minor. But it's the identity of the community. And the school board, everybody on the school board also participates in boards across the city as non-voting members. So I think that just shows the integration and how everybody has a seat at the table, and it's important to everybody there.
It's really been a way for the community come together.
Yes.
So did the work on the school board lead to the opportunity to serve on the Parks Board, or let's talk about you. You have, you are uniquely positioned in your community in a number of different roles that I want to talk about. So did the Park Board come after the school board, or at the same time?
It was first.
It was first. Okay.
Yes. So the mayor had appointed me. The current mayor and the past mayor are both Democrats, by the way. But we trick or treat there. We're all
so
very
it's not
close.
about partisan politics. It's about the community and getting things done.
Absolutely, 100%. I just thought that was worth noting, but it's not. That's not part of the equation. And I'm sorry, I totally forgot the question. I just wanted to make sure I got that in.
No, and I appreciate that. But how did you get to? So you started with the parks,
yes.
And the Democrat mayor appointed you. You
Yes.
couldn't have been in Beech Grove very long.
No.
And all of a sudden, you found yourself on the Parks Board.
Yes, and then a couple members left, and then everybody looked at me to be the president.
Are you currently the president?
Yes.
How long have you been the president?
5 or 6 years.
Wow.
Yes, I'm working on our second 5-year plan for the state. So it's probably going to be my last one. I've done 2 now.
Well, so what does the Parks Board in Beech Grove do?
We oversee the director and the community center director, and we set policy and rental rates and things like that. But
it's a significant place in your community, though.
And I think that,
is it one park or multiple parks?
We have multiple. We have one very large park and 2 smaller parks, and one of them is called Hartman Park, and that's where the Little League plays. So that's everybody. A lot of people know that park. It's a special place.
So another place where young people and families are convening.
Yes, it's very important. There's a long history of the Little League. I believe last year was their 60th anniversary. So we sign agreements with the Little League to use our properties. St. Francis Soccer, we have agreements with them to use our facilities. But and I try to explain this to my family. I'm not just going to these meetings. I have to plan them. I have to set the agenda. So it can get to be a lot.
Have you been president of the school board too?
No, I'm the vice president.
But you're in a leadership role.
Yeah.
So Tara, talk about your leadership style. Obviously, park board, school board, these opportunities, you're and I don't want to say you're just not a member, because obviously it's important to be a member, but you've elevated to leadership roles. So you obviously have a style that's effective, get things done. How would you describe your leadership style?
I would say very collaborative. I want to hear everybody's opinion. I'm
But that takes time.
I'm okay if you don't. We don't have to agree, but I want to hear it, and I want to hear why you feel that way. And I think that means a lot to people. Sometimes you don't get that in an organization, but hearing everybody, at the end of the day, the board makes a decision, and that's the decision. But I think just listening to everybody.
But that takes time.
Yeah.
Listening, phone calls, meeting with people to get their opinions. You have 2 kids, a husband, a full-time job, 2 significant leadership roles on these boards. How do you juggle it all? How do you find time to be a good listener?
First, I would say I have a very obnoxious color-coded calendar.
Of course you do.
So I'll start with that. But I have an amazing husband who I could not do any of this without. He picks up the kids when I can't. He cooks when I can't. He supports any crazy endeavor I ever mention. He doesn't bat an eye, which is pretty special.
Sure. Sounds like a great partnership.
Yes, definitely balances me out as well. And then, in my professional day-to-day job, my boss has never expected me to miss a field trip to work on something. He'll call and I'll say, I'm at the apple orchard. And he'll be like, why did you answer? Call me back. So that means a lot. At the end of the day, I'll get it done, but I might be picking apples for a little bit in the middle of the day.
Makes sense.
So I think that having all those people around that value family and other things outside of work, they know. And especially in Beech Grove too, it's a small place and we're all doing multiple things. So everybody understands that and gives you a little grace too.
So obviously these roles have been things that you've been involved in for an extended period of time, and there are other opportunities in Beech Grove. I don't want you to make any news today, but do you think that this is the beginning of the journey, the middle of a journey with regard to elected office? Are you thinking about other opportunities?
I've thought about it, and the opportunity has come up a couple of times, but especially right now, my kids are really small and I do go on a lot of field trips. So I'm also helping at school right now, coach their little cheer clinic. So,
that's fun.
Watch out. Yeah.
Were you really a cheerleader when you were in school?
Yeah. 20 years ago. Yes. Yes. 20 years ago.
We never forget, do we?
Oh my. Yes. I stopped doing the kicks, but I'll do the rest. I'll do the rest of it with the kids.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
So tell me, when you think about the opportunities that you've had in elected office, was the Lugar Series impactful with regard to that journey?
Oh my gosh.
And
Absolutely.
If so, how?
Well, I'd known about it since I worked in the governor's office. So I wanted to do it for several years before the right opportunity came along. So I was so excited to even be selected. It had been years in the making that I had wanted to do it. So the year I was selected, first of all, you get to meet so many amazing women, and I loved all of the homework that you gave us. I always loved reaching out.
You like homework?
I love it. I love a to-do list.
Yes, that would make sense then.
Yes. So I loved reaching out to the alumni that I was curious about or had always wanted to meet, and everyone that I ever reached out to was super gracious. I remember someone was from Northern Indiana, and she met me at Chick-fil-A in Lafayette.
Wow.
One day. And so first of all, just meeting those people and having access to them was incredible. And now, it's a huge network.
It is. And Lugar Series,
Huge.
all women always want to be helpful, to be encouraging, to provide expertise and assistance to help other Lugar Series women, and frankly, all women to have an opportunity to excel. And so as you think about it, with regard to what you've done and to give back, what would you like to be doing to be a role model for other women?
Well, I hope that somebody goes through that list and maybe recognizes my name from something, or maybe they saw me somewhere or in a photo on Facebook or something, and that they would want to reach out and chat, or if I could connect them with someone else, I would love to do that.
Well, you've been a speaker at some of our classes.
Yes.
So hopefully you'll continue to do that,
Sure.
to talk about how to get involved, how to run, to be a role model as well.
Yes. I'll do my best.
So when you think about I'm going to go back to a question that I asked you a little bit ago, and I probably cut you off. But in addition to your leadership style of listening, talk about you have real self-discipline, your color-coded calendar. You have this to-do list. When do you take care of yourself? How do you find fulfillment and take time for you?
Well, that's towards the bottom of the list, but I definitely do. This past weekend, I went to visit some friends. But I just have to schedule it. But I take the time to, get my nails done or whatever, at the end of the day, whatever. I usually do those things like on the way to get my kids. So it's kind of like I'm done for the day.
Good for you.
But I have to schedule it.
You schedule and make yourself a priority. And I think that's an important reminder for other women, because
our health, all of it.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thanks.
So how many of your friends from earlier days, your college friends, your friends growing up, are involved in politics and civic engagement? Not many. You're shaking your head. None.
I don't think
you're going through the list in your head.
None that I can think of. I'd say my work isn't brought up very much. It's usually kind of a party killer. Not very fun at parties.
I think that, we all get so involved in our own lives, and I'm sure that they're involved in their children's lives and their employment, and so they're really busy. Yes.
Yeah, well, I would just say, sometimes, they'll call me or text me and be like, is this important? Do I need to do this? And I'm like, yes, it's election day. Yes, you do need to do this. Or some of my friends, I never voted before we were friends. I didn't know it was that important. So sometimes I get those messages, but no, they're not involved per se in some of these things.
Well, so that brings me to your political engagement. You're an elected official, but you're also a political leader. And so I believe that you're the local president of the political group in Beech Grove. Is this the same group that you volunteered with early on?
Yes. So this is Perry Township GOP, and I just finished my term as president.
Oh. So how long was that term?
It was 2 years, but I was on the board for 6. So I was secretary, then vice president, then president. So this is the first time in 7 years that I haven't had a direct seat at the table. I'm still just trying to hold on just a little bit. I can't quite cut the tie, but they're in good hands. They're amazing, and I'll always stay connected.
Are you the top volunteer now?
I don't know. They haven't seen me for a while. I've been at basketball games. So.
Oh, well, your life has obviously changed. Yeah. So when you think back to your terms as secretary, president of the local Perry Township political group, what does that mean? A lot of people, have these titles, but they don't really understand what the job is, what the responsibilities are. Would you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I see my position. Well, in a lot of these positions, I'm just trying to drive. I'm driving the bus. Sometimes I'm not always making the decisions, but I'm getting the people on the bus and we're moving in the right direction.
How do you get them on the bus?
Well, sometimes they're kicking and screaming, but you get them in the right seat. So it was a lot of party planning, Lincoln Days, but we have incredible sold out Lincoln Days every year.
Wow.
We've had Senator Young, Senator Banks, Governor Braun. I think those were the last 3. Tara Klutz was a super fun guest speaker. This year, it's Speaker Houston. So you should be there. It'll be fun. But there's a lot of those kind of things, a lot of planning. But something that we really like to do at our meetings is have our local elected officials there. A lot of times people don't get to interact with those officials. So making sure that people can ask questions and find out what they're doing, especially during session. The state representatives and state senators will be there and giving them an update, a play-by-play of what's going on. And that's really important to people.
Is it hard to keep people involved?
Yes, it's very hard. Everybody has a lot of other things going on every day.
So we're back to your communication. You communicate.
And communicate again. I mean, it's emails, it's phone calls, it's reaching out, letting them know what we need. Something else that we've tried to do that's not as much of a business meeting. We like to do community events or family-friendly events. So for the last 5 or so years, we've had a family picnic in the summer.
Oh, wow.
There's no agenda. We just say, get a plate, everybody come. There's like yard games and some music, and you can mingle and ask questions if you want.
You have a balance in your local political events of work and play.
Yes.
And that probably lets people put down their sabers every now and then.
Yes, thankfully. We also did something this year for the first time. We had a bowling event, which was really fun. One of the teams even got matching shirts.
No way.
Yeah, so next year is going to be hard to top.
Was that your idea?
No, it was my friend Madison, who's on the board.
Yes,
it was her idea.
Another Lugar Series alumni.
Yes. She so we called it Bowling Out Hunger, and all the money that we raised went to a local food bank.
Oh wow!
So we're trying to do a different mix of things, to keep people informed and involved, but have some fun.
So, being the Perry Township political director or chair, and then the park board, the school board, how much overlap of the same people is there? I know, as you mentioned, the mayor's a Democrat. So how does this all fit together with regard to the different groups of people?
There is a lot of overlap. But it's kind of nice because we know each other a lot of the time. So we can make those connections pretty easy. Like, oh, the parks needs this. Well, we know them. Or, the school's interested in this. Well, we know them. So I think that's usually to our benefit, that we are a pretty close-knit little place.
So what do you see in your next role with these leadership responsibilities you've had? Obviously, you finished your term as the political leader in Perry Township, but you're still the school board. You're still the Parks Board president, but you've hinted that potentially, some of these terms will be coming to an end as you focus more on your children. Yeah. How do you plan to stay engaged?
I would say that I'll be open to other opportunities as they arise. I mean, especially as the kids get a little bit bigger and more independent. It was a pretty physical job for a while, but now they can, that part of it's over for now. I would be open to other opportunities and have those conversations, but it would have to work for my family.
That's totally fair.
Yeah.
So as you've served, have you been reaching out to other women and bringing them into the fold, helping to introduce them to opportunities?
Absolutely. I remember the first time I met Madison, and she'd said, I overheard her saying like, "Hi, I just moved here." And I went up to her and tapped her on the shoulder. I'm like, "Where do you live?" So luckily she took it really well. But yeah, I mean, anytime I hear of somebody moving to town, happy to connect them. If there's anything I'm involved in that I could connect somebody else, I would love to do that. I'd love that.
So as you've been going through this journey, have there been obstacles that you've faced as a woman that perhaps men haven't had to face that you can coach other women on?
I would say definitely when I was younger, it was kind of hard. Maybe wasn't taken seriously sometimes. But I was in several roles where I was the youngest person at the department head meeting. But the people that put me there, they knew I could do it and they believed in me. So I kind of had to put those things aside because I knew I was doing what was right and making good choices for that organization. But yes, being the youngest in the room and a woman is,
So
I don't have that problem anymore.
Well, you're obviously still very young. But how did you make that change? How did you, you can't pound your chest and say, I'm the youngest person, listen to me.
Yeah.
And sometimes I know that you're perhaps ignored. Sometimes we have a tendency to talk too much. How did you balance it all? How did you find your style in those situations? And what was it?
It wasn't easy. And as I've alluded to, there have been tears from time to time, for sure. But I was always myself, and I wasn't going to be anybody else. I don't know if that was always good or bad, but this is me. So whether I'm talking to you or my grandma or my boss.
So you have the courage to use your own voice.
Yes. It was not always easy, and there were plenty of tears shed, but at the end of the day, I knew what I was doing was the right thing, and I was true to myself, and I'm very proud of that.
So oftentimes young women, when they see you and other women like you in roles of leadership, they'll say to you, oh, I want to be like you. How do I do it? One, I would like to know the advice that you give them. But two, do you tell them about the tears?
Well, I used to always tell you that, but I don't think I want to work that much anymore. I always said I wanted to be Anne when I grew up. Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely honest with them. I don't know if I always, show my hand very quickly. But I'm definitely honest with people. It's not always easy.
I think that the key there is I don't think that everybody understands. You have especially have a tendency to make it look easy. And I know that it hasn't always been easy, that there have been tears shed, but we don't show them in public. We pull up our big girl panties and we
wait till you get in the car.
Right. And we go back to work, and that there's been sacrifice. There's been real hard work. And it always hasn't gone your way. Are there any things that you think back on that you wish you would have done differently, or that there was that thing that you wanted that got away? And how has that impacted where you are today?
Well, I don't have very many regrets, especially professionally. But I think there were a few times where I gave in and didn't stick up for myself, whether it was because I was the youngest or the only woman. So I wish I wouldn't have done that. But I would say for somebody else in that position, don't give up. And if you know that you deserve a seat at the table, then sit in your little seat and don't go anywhere.
Good for you.
Yeah.
When you think ahead and when you think about your experiences, is there anything that comes to mind that you would like to do in coming years to expand the table for women in Indiana?
Sure. Like I said, I would love to mentor any young women if there's a passion of mine that would, interest them or that they want to learn more about. I would be happy to do that. I'm not sure what other opportunities there may be, but I'd love to hear about them.
Good for you. Yeah. We will be sure to take you up on that. Okay. And to provide opportunities for women to learn from you, particularly at the local elected level. I think that some people will be reluctant and are reluctant to lean in because it can be all consuming. But I think it's the balance question. How do you do it all? And I think, Tara, you've really been exemplary with regard to trying to balance yourself, your family, and these roles.
Well, I will say sometimes it's like you see the duck moving along the water and everything is smooth and beautiful, but under the water, it's a little crazy. So it's not always, rainbows and butterflies, but at the end of the day,
Unicorns, come on.
Unicorns, puppy dogs, all candy, everything, glitter.
It's not always easy.
It's not. It's not. And some days are really hard. Some days are really hard, and you can't make it all happen, but you just always have to make the right decision.
As we're sitting here chatting, so I'm thinking to myself, I'm thinking back to when you were in the class and some of the struggles and some of our conversations. And I think about where you are today and in less than 12 years. I mean, how your life has changed and how happy and content you are with what you've accomplished. If we would have both been able to look into a crystal ball, and to see what you've done and the opportunities in front of you, we don't know what they are, but you're not done yet. So one day at a time.
Yes. Well, I tell my dad, I'm like about 12 hours at a time. As I can commit to about 12 hours ahead at this point. But I think, as time goes on, it'll get a little easier to juggle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going to do some wrap-up questions, but before we go to those wrap-up questions, if there's one piece of advice that you could give to your 2016 Lugar Series self, 2017 Lugar Series self, what would it be now that you didn't know then?
I've always told myself that I could get through anything, because I always have. No matter what the obstacle is, it might not go perfect, but I've, whatever has come up, I've been able to overcome it or handle it or whatever the case may be. So if something starts to creep up like that again, I always say, you know what, I can do it, because I always have. So you really have to believe in yourself, or nobody else is going to either.
It's a great lesson.
So
it's a great lesson.
Easier said than done.
And looking back, I would say to you, and I think I probably did say, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
Well, I'm glad you said that. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
I needed the encouragement.
Well, you've done well. How these wrap-up questions.
Okay.
I think you've answered this, but in one word, how would you define your leadership style?
Collaborative.
I think that's right. What motivates you?
My family.
What challenges you?
Myself.
That's
yeah, there's a little bit to unpack there, but
yeah.
I think I put a lot of, I know this is more than one word.
That's okay. Let's hear it. I think that we all learn from it.
Yeah. I put more pressure on myself than other people do. I expect a lot out of myself. I also expect a lot out of other people. But mostly the pressure that is put on me is from me.
Do you think that you have to be perfect, or is it just the pressure to live up to what you expect?
High expectations.
Right.
I'm not perfect.
Well, and see, I appreciate that answer, because I think that we all try to be perfect, and sometimes good is okay. So what I appreciated about your answer is the fact that you've already acknowledged that you don't have to be perfect, but yet you want to live up to your capabilities. Good for you. Wow. In one word, Indiana.
Home.
Yeah. A word for the current and next generation of women leaders.
Courageous.
The Lugar Series in one word.
Inspiring.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today for
You're
a seat
welcome.
at the table. It's
welcome.
a pleasure to share your story, your successes, your frustrations, those early tears
Yes.
with our friends. And I'm just glad that we got a chance to sit down and have a conversation.
Thank you
so much. Tara, I've already thanked you for being here. And to everyone, please tune in every other Tuesday as we highlight more Lugar Series women. Impactful, real stories from our Lugar Series women here at the Lugar Series, A Seat at the Table. We'll see you soon.